So today, my presentation is actually mainly focused on those people who have aspiration of attaining a degree. Or maybe if you're crazy enough like me and her and him, you might even consider doing a PhD, right? So, I mean, it sounds really dramatic when I said unveiling the path to academic success. But it's just basically just going to help you with, if you need some tips on how to start if you wanted to study in Norway. But before that, I'll tell you just brief information about me. My given name is Marilex Rea Llave, but I go by Alex, so just call me Alex. I'm from Cavite, Philippines. Oh, kailangan ba kita pa ako? Kasi ayoko yung nasa mukha ko. So, dito ako dapat? Okay lang, okay. Hello? Okay, so I came from Cavite, which is the birthplace of the first president in the Philippines. So I'm kind of proud of it. He's not my great-great-grandfather. I hope he was. I managed to pursue a degree, a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science in the Philippines. I was actually pretty young. I was 19 when I was done with my bachelor's. And yeah, kulang-kulang yata ako. I started first grade when I was 5. So after completing my bachelor's in computer science, I didn't really have a chance to work as an IT professional. So I never worked as a programmer or data engineer or whatever it is. So, but I worked tirelessly for 3 years as a business process associate and 6 months, I think, as an HR staff. And it's because I came from a really, really poor family. I kind of had to take like a bold decision to become an au pair in Denmark. I didn't have a good experience in that place. I didn't tell it in the article because I don't want the kids that I looked after to that they're gonna think like, oh, Alex hated my parents, right? So I didn't say that. So my sister, she was the one who first worked in Denmark as an au pair, and she said Norway was better. So I decided to come here, and then I was 23 when I came to Norway, and I was an au pair for 2 years, and my ex-boyfriend who was from Thailand. He told me like maybe I would consider applying for masters. So I managed to complete master's degree in information and communication technology with a specialization in system development. And I had to support myself because I wasn't eligible for student loan because I'm not Norwegian. I'm not married with a Norwegian guy. So I had to work in kindergarten as a kindergarten assistant, and I managed to earn maybe like 3,000 kroners a month. And luckily, the husleia, it's like the rent in Grimstad was 2,600. So I still have 400 kroners. And I had to do like, some cleanings for me to be able to survive. I think that's the reason I've been skinny for ages, I didn't have enough money to buy me some food. And when I was done with my master's, it was just a coincidence I had to apply for PhD, and I was really glad I managed to get it. So that I completed my PhD in information systems in 2020, 2 months before I defended my thesis. A company which it used to be Sigal, Cisco, and now it's Sigal. They found me on LinkedIn, and then they offered me a job. It's just because I have a PhD, or going to have a PhD. So I dedicated over 2 years to this role, and I got bored, not like Nick. But today I'm enjoying my job as a senior BI engineer in the data and artificial intelligence department at FEIT. It's an insurance company which is a combination of DNB and Sparebank 1. So I think it's 60 Sparebank 1 and 40% DNB, if I'm not mistaken. And I also work as a part-time associate professor at NHO. It's in Bergen. And my students are 503 students. They are a lot. Yeah. So you guys are just like, a piece of cake for me because there are 503 students just looking at me, judging me every time I say something. So the next one, okay, let's start with this one. If you wanted to study, my first tip is you have to know what do you want to study. Maybe the better question is, what do you want to work with? Because you have to find the correct education for you to be able to manage to find a career in Norway, right? So this is the website I used when I was applying. That was in 2011. What I did is because that was my last chance to stay in Norway. I kind of had to apply all the universities that offered masters in computer science, computer engineering, information technology, whatever, all those that I'm actually qualified to apply. So I applied for 10. It's because we don't have videregående skole. It's like we don't have grade 7, things like that. I was declined in 7 universities, and I was thinking like, that's okay. I'm still waiting for 3. I was accepted in University of Bergen, but they asked me to do 1 year in bachelor's, and my Norwegian that time wasn't that good. It wouldn't be enough for me to actually be able to complete a 1 year in bachelor's degree. But luckily, University of Agder and I think it was Oslo University College, they offered me a study place. And I chose Agder because it's warmer. I lived in Haugesund for 2 years, and it's really horrible weather. And when I applied, one thing that is actually pretty important to know is like, what kind of applicant are you? Are you local or international? Because if you're a local, then you don't have to stress about like the papers and everything. If you're an international student, the thing is, the dates are different. I remember when I applied, I think I started preparing my documents, I think it was in August, and the application starts in October, like roughly like during autumn semester. And the deadline is normally before Christmas. But if you're a local applicant, then it's much later. So I remember I applied in October and I got the result, I think it was in March 2012, and I had to go back to the Philippines because I don't have the valid visa to stay in Norway. And I was actually hoping like, I hope I would manage to come back, because if not, then I just had to find another path, right? And if you are considered to be a local applicant, so you just have to find yourself in which category you fulfill in. I mean, if you have a bachelor's in Nordic country or outside Nordic country, and it's the same as if you're a citizen in a Nordic country. If you don't have a citizenship, of course, it's going to be different, and you have to apply as an international student, which means that you have to fund your study. The tuition fees, sadly, I was really sad when I heard about it, because I was thinking like, I keep motivating people to come to Norway, especially people who are already, I mean, not yet in the Philippines or already in Norway, but they don't have the money, just like me, to study. And they made it even more difficult for us to study now because it costs a lot. If you wanted to study in any universities, I think the cheapest tuition fees is 120,000 kroners a year. I paid 749 kroners per semester. So I spent roughly 3,000 kroners when I did my master's. Okay. So now it's like I'm crying for those who those who are bright and smart people from the Philippines, that they actually lost that chance. So hopefully it will change. Maybe I'll run for, I don't know, become a politician or something. So these are like the categories for exemptions from paying tuition fees. So if you're one of these people, try to grab it, and it will be a good opportunity. And I think one of the main rule, if you're eligible for the student loan, you know, the Lånekassa, it's already, that means that you don't have to pay the tuition fee, because that means it's just like you're qualified for it. So what do you need? At least for me, as I was an international student, I kind of had to apply for NOKUT, but I didn't really do it because some of the universities thought my curriculum was kind of similar to what they're offering in the university. So I was lucky enough to even manage to get a place without the NOKUT certification. So I mean, NOKUT is like, it is an independent agency. They are responsible for quality assurance and recognition of higher education. So what are the requirements? Of course, English. I mean, I think every Filipino speaks English, at least enough to study in English, right? But for those who wanted to do bachelor's, which is normally taught in Norwegian, you have to have at least B2. I don't think they're going to ask for a paper that will show that you are actually, your language skills is B2 level. But I think it will help for you to call the person in charge in that program and then just show your skills, and normally they wouldn't ask for any documentation at all. Some are really kind. You don't have to, you just have to try and ask. So how to apply? It's just online application, Socknet's web, and it's both for local, international applicant. So I still remember when I applied, I had to do it 10 times. So that was quite a lot. So you will be notified of the admission within a certain time frame. It will be much earlier for those who are international applicants, of course, because you have to apply for a visa. You have to make sure you check your acceptance instructions, because I have two of my good friends, they actually lost their study place because they forgot to confirm that they wanted to accept the study place. And they thought they were going to study, and I was like, no, you didn't confirm, you didn't answer our email, so you actually lost it. And there's a lot of people who were in the waiting list, and they said, can I just get the study place next year? No, you have to do the same steps. You have to apply, and then so make sure you check that. You also, just sadly, as I said, you have to pay for a tuition fee right now, or some would ask for a financial documentation, just to make sure you are actually you have money enough to stay in Norway, because it's expensive here. So student visa applications, UDI shows all the information about it, and this one is actually quite important, since now there's tuition fees for all the universities and higher colleges in Norway. I would recommend Norway, because I met a lot of people in LinkedIn who studied at Norway and they managed to get IT jobs. So I would recommend this because they focus on practical things, relevant industrial projects that would make you even more qualified to get a job, even as a newly graduate. So how about PhD? When people ask me why did I do it, why did I pursue PhD, I just honestly, that was just the opportunity I got at that time. I didn't manage to get a job when I was done with my master's because of the oil economic crisis in 2014, and that I didn't speak enough Norwegian, and I was lucky enough to get the PhD. I think it's because I'm a woman. I got the award, and it's true though, it's not so many women who, in IT especially, who does or who wanted to apply for PhD, and I got an award for best master thesis. That helps. And that I'm from the Philippines, because they never had Filipino PhD research fellow. And just short, PhD is not a student visa, it's a working visa, so you're gonna earn money, you're gonna study the things that you love, you will be able to go to conference, present your scientific articles, and you'll meet a lot of people. All the universities have, they have a budget for it. Whatever you need to make your study or the research easier, they will pretty much pay for it. I remember I had a 6,000 kroners budget for 3 years just to buy me some books or whatever. It will be easy for me to do my data collection. They will pay for my bus, hotels, you name it, my food, of course. So where to apply for PhD is just normal, but I would suggest to check PhD portals or study portals, and Job Norge or Jobb Norge, and I think they started to post it on LinkedIn as well. So of course you have to have relevant master's degree. Normally, if you apply, most of my colleagues actually who did PhD at the same time as me, they applied at least 5 to 6 times before they landed on a PhD position. It's just because applying in PhD, it's extremely difficult. It's just because a lot of people are applying for it, and then most people are from China. You know those students there, A students, A+ students. So it's good that you have those good results, and especially you should have at least B in your master's thesis. And of course, the project proposal should be unique, and you should you should like demonstrate originality because you can't have your PhD if it's not original. It has to be something that haven't done before. So that's how it is. And of course, the normal requirements, which are letter of recommendation, CV, transcripts, and college certificates. So I mean, okay, that's not part of my. That's not part of my. Yeah, I know they didn't remove those. But I was just thinking, okay, sa Filipino lang, if meron sa inyo na nagda-doubt or hindi alam kung ano yung way, add nyo ako sa Facebook or sa LinkedIn. I always have time to answer, pwedeng voice call. Kung ano man yung kailangan yung advice or tulong, nagugulahan, di ba? So, thank you! Ano ba off nito?